Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. Man, do you ever think about the barriers of entry to some of the things we like in the 2A community? And what I mean is cost, right? So you see these badass guns. You want to buy one. Let's take, I don't know, the new flavor of the month. You want a 6.5 Creedmoor. You look at that, and just to get set up for something like a long range setup, or maybe you want a battle rifle setup in that weird caliber. I don't know. What's the expense? First it's the gun, then it's the magazines, and holy moly, some magazines. If you ever try to buy an MP5 magazine, I know because, as I said, I just broke the bank and went ahead and bought one of my dream guns. They're not cheap. But it raised a question for me today, thinking about this, about barriers to entry. Before I get into that, let me say I am sorry. Last night, and as you can tell, I'm sniffling and whatnot, I'm still recovering from, I don't know how else to put it, the sniffles. I've had a lot of drainage. Anyway, not going to get personal. It sucks. It's just uncomfortable. With that, I didn't want to try to talk, every time I try to talk yesterday, it made me want to gag. But back to barriers to entry. Look at the new Wonder calibers, like I said, the 6.5. Okay? If you buy ammunition already pre-made, you pay a very high premium for the caliber. Especially right now in northwest New Mexico, because it's a hunting caliber also. And right now there's a lot of deer and elk hunts going on. Deer hunts specifically, I think. I didn't put in this year. This was the year that after my father had passed that I wanted a year off. Next year I plan on hunting bow and rifle for big game, both elk and deer. But the barriers to entry, you think about, well, ammunition doesn't seem like it's that much of a barrier of entry. Then look at 5.7. You buy 5.7 by 28, and you get 50 rounds, or 20 rounds, I think, 25 rounds in some cases, for the same price you get 100 of, say, a 9mm. Probably easily 500 of 22 long rifle. So the barrier to entry for some of these is just nuts. How do we solve it? So, in my case, for the MP5, you can get metal mags, or you can get polymer mags. Now, I have AC Unity mags for the AK. I've had a very good experience with them. They're very good for what they are, for the price you pay. I got 20 of the damn things by accident. I meant to get 10. I clicked on something at RTG Parts. Though it's not their fault. Guys are awesome. They have all kinds of sales and deals. I saw something. It was at an extremely screaming good price. I'm not saying I was overcharged for what I received. I'm saying, holy moly, I didn't expect to get 20 when I got 10. That's the kind of value I expect from good companies. That's why RTG is always a thing. With RTG, if you have a roller delayed gun or an AK, they service all kinds of guns. Check them out. They've got a lot of cool things. But specifically, what I found was that there's two different types of polymer magazines. And magically, YouTube started showing me these videos. I'm pretty sure there's an app on my phone somewhere that I have not basically cared to go look and see has access to my microphone, because I've talked to people about this, and then I'm seeing targeted advertisement or targeted videos, specifically about MP5s right now. I think that's hilarious, because targeting something like that is counterproductive to what they see, but it is exactly what they're supposed to be trying to do with marketing, direct marketing. But I digress. They make ETS and AC Unity. Now, I've not had good experience with ETS mags, I'll be honest. I bought one or two AR-15 ETS mags to try out. Because they're a great price, I kind of backward in the back of my mind kind of liked how they latched to themselves, so I was trying to see what they would do. They didn't work very well, at least in the AR platform. Maybe I got a Gen 1, maybe I got one that was just bad. Sample size of 1. That said, I've never had a problem with Magpul. Magpul is making lots of cool furniture for the MP5, so they've lowered the price of the barrier to entry again. However, they don't make magazines yet for the MP5. Only AC Unity, ETS, KCI, and HK, and MKE are the only magazines I can find. MKE is about $40 a mag. ETS is about $20. Unity is about AC Unity is about $20. If you don't know what AC Unity is, they make them for the Slavic military. That's why I'm kind of interested in them. They make AK mags that are metal reinforced with windows. They're polymer, so that's what makes it cheaper. And to be honest, when you buy a polymer mag and if you expect it to last when you've dropped it right on the gun or dropped the gun and everything right on the mag, I think that's kind of unrealistic, just knowing the mechanics of what's going to happen. Nowadays, surprisingly, there's a lot of polymers that would take that abuse and it'd be great. But magazines, something as simple as a magazine, okay? If you think about like a 12 gauge, like a Mossberg 500, okay? They have the Maverick 88, which if you've not seen it, is like the cheapest version of the Mossberg 500 you could get. It has a crossbolt safety by the trigger, but it lowers the barrier of entry for a very proven design, a very proven platform, and that's what the world looks at, or what we should be looking at. There's a lot of podcasters and YouTubers, specifically streamers, that focus on really high-end guns. And while I am a gun guy, and I have a decent collection for a gun guy, a civilian gun guy, I am not like Mac or Tim at Military Arms Channel or Mike at Mr. Guns and Gear. I cannot afford having a SIG Veritas, a SIG MCX, a SIG P365, a Tavor, and a ton of other high-end guns. I have to budget like everyone else does. That's why I built my AR, or assembled it, I should say, because I got exactly what I wanted. And that's why the AR, I still believe, is the entry level. It is the American gun. Whether it's entry or high end, it services and lowers the barrier of entry so much that anyone can get into one eventually. The same can be said about Glock pistols, and if you don't believe me, look at the Dagger from PSA. You're talking about a $350 or sub $300, depends on the day and the sale, Glock Generation 3 9mm pistol. That's what the Dagger is. It has the same parts compatibility. It's because the patent ran out on Glock, and PSA saw a chance to make a product that people need. If you look at the founder of what PSA talks about, he's been to overseas, he's done all that stuff in the military. He's seen what happens when society breaks down. And he tells you the only way to ensure society that never breaks down is to arm them by spreading freedom everywhere. I take that to heart when I look at barriers to entry. This is why another way to lower barriers to entry, specifically with ammunition cost, is reloading. Now, here's where the controversy is. Okay. When I say cheap, I mean material cost. It is not cheap to reload in any fashion because you're going to invest your time and effort to do this. And it takes a lot of time set aside to do it correctly and safely. But when you're done, despite what you've ever heard about reloads, if you're good at it, your reloads should be just as good. You should feel just as safe, just as regardful about them as that super high-end ammunition that is on the store shelves. And I do. I've been reloading my entire gun 2A experience because of my father. I may have not understood what I was doing when I was really young, but I was introduced to it and taught the skill forever. It's one that I teach to anyone that's willing to want to learn. But you have to have equipment. You have to have the time. Because you're going to sit there. You have to size brass, clean brass. That's part of the prep. Caliper them to make sure they're all within spec. Get rid of the ones that aren't. Deprime. Clean the primer pockets. Prime them. Or size them, prime them. If it's pistol, you're going to have to crimp them at the very, very end. But charge them. Put the bullet on them. As you put the bullet, you seat the bullet. You crimp it. Okay. With a pistol, though, there's another phase after that. You use another die, and that actually puts that little factory lip on it that makes it a little better and prettier. That's the best way I could put it. One of them actually flares out the case mouth just a little bit so that when you seat the bullet, you get that perfect little round edge around it. That's one way. There's the Wish way. You go to wish.com, you buy Chinese crap. You get what you pay for. And I used to be one of those guys that would be all about, it didn't matter, I'm just going to replace it eventually, right? Until you start training. Get on a range course, a hot range course. Train like you mean it with that equipment and see what happens. See what happens when it fails. That's the best way to put it. And how you react. If you react well, so be it. If you don't, maybe you should probably buy once, cry once. I say that, but there is one place I see another barrier of entry that you can get into them very inexpensively if you do your research. That's optics. So you've heard of Leupold. You've heard, or Leupold, or Nikon when they made them, or Steiner. Any of those super high-end guys, right? Well, nowadays, with modern machining, there are newer companies that are coming out or have come out. And yes, some of them come out of China. It sucks. But some of them are made in Japan, which is also an American ally. And a lot of them are starting to be made in the U.S. Vortex, lifetime warranty. They make priced right optics for any working person. So does Primary Arms. Okay? The ACSS reticle that the military's been using in the ACOG, guess where ACOG got it from? Trijicon got it from. They got it from the dude that is the primary dude behind the Primary Arms optic. They licensed it from Primary Arms. So you may not get the super badass one that the military has, but you're going to come damn close. And for, as Robski says in his streaming stuff at the AKOU, it's almost cheating when you're using the bullet drop compensator with the actual calibrated round. So I have them in a 308, 7.62 by 39, 5.45, and 5.56 on AK and 5.56 on AR. That's how much I like Primary Arms. I did say 308, I believe. All of them perform flawlessly. Okay? I still haven't had enough time to spend on the range with my HK, my 308, to tune it better. That's on me, not the optic or the gun. But it shows me that you can get past those barriers of entry. Steel case ammo was a huge boon to people that weren't rich. And, of course, Biden screwed that up. But I digress. Look for those things. This is why I also say find a mentor. Because if you find a gun guy or a gun girl, they're going to know those little shortcuts because they've had to pay for it. Maybe they'll save you some money when they get you set up or help you get you set up, help you shop, so that you're not wasting money on the wish barrier of entry. Like, share, subscribe, be great.